And welcome back, everybody, to the TV show podcast. I'm Jay Black, and I'm joined every week by the lovely and talented Rhea Hughes. How are you, Rhea?
Wonderful, Jay.
And the talented Angelo Cataldi. How are you?
Hold on a minute. When do I get a lovely?
I mean, some people can see this podcast, Angelo. You know what? That's very similar to the look that you have on the cover of your book, Loud, which is still available.
Exactly.
AngeloCatali.com or Amazon.com. And this week, as always, we're produced by Jared Clapper. Jared over there, thank you for producing us, Jared. And we got to hop right into this because we had a meeting on Monday. And I just brought up one tweet by Bill Simmons, and Angelo started to just, like, honestly, I wish we could have recorded the meeting because there was so much good stuff coming out of Angelo. And I was like, all right, well, we got to start the meeting. We got to start the podcast with what we talked about in the meeting. Bill Simmons wrote about the announcers for this weekend's games, the conference games. And I think, it's pretty much a set deal that Tony Romo is considered crap at this point, right? I mean, is there even like in the general media, he's an overpaid buffoon and does not do his research, tries to make up for his lack of knowledge with energy, which is what I do every week on this podcast. Doesn't quite work. But I brought up that Bill Simmons, who I really liked, said Greg Olsen is fantastic. Loves Greg Olsen. Rhea seemed to agree. Angelo, you didn't. So you're not a fan of Greg Olsen?
Oh, no. I am not saying a word until I hear Rhea's case for this jackass. All right, Rhea, you like Greg Olsen. That's what you're saying?
I do. So here's what I'll tell you how I did how I watched the games on Sunday. For the early game, which was Tony Romo, I had it on my big screen TV. I had my laptop up with Twitter. I had a martini, and I had earbuds in my ear listening to music because I refused to listen to that babbling moron that is Tony Romo. He doesn't offer insight anymore. It's like, Jim. That's what he does. What I get from Greg Olsen, which I like, is sometimes he goes a little bit too on the X's and O's, but I think I actually get more insight from him than I get, obviously, from Tony Romo, than I get from Chris Collinsworth. And who's the other main? Herbstreit is okay, but I just think of him more as a college guy. But I think of all the main analysts, color analysts, I think Greg Olsen is far and away the best.
All right, let's start with this. That's a really low bar. That is the lowest bar it has ever been. Because in the era of John Madden and all those guys, they didn't make it so you could not listen to a game. You literally had to put on earbuds, and Romo and Collinsworth make it impossible to listen to their commentary. They're so intrusive. All right. Here's the thing, and I wrote about this on my blog at AngeloCatali.com. Greg Olsen is a nonsense machine. Like, if you program something to babble nonsense after every play, he would do it. Here's how I can prove to you Greg Olsen stinks. All right. That game, I don't know that there's ever been an NFC Championship game more determined by coaching strategy than that game. Dan Campbell, a coach I have admired for years, blew the game for the Lions when he did not kick field goals in 3 different situations, including the final drive when he could have preserved some clock. He blew it. Greg Olsen, and my son was texting me, he was going nuts. I'm so proud when an offspring acts like I do. And he was going, and he goes, when is he going to mention that Dan Campbell blew the game when he was up 14 with a makeable field goal and didn't take the field goal? When's he go? Because he never mentioned it. And then the second one they ever
do it? When do they ever do it?
No, Maria, they have to. That's their job.
Yes,
they're not just there to kiss ass.
I'll tell you the only time I heard them recently do it. And it's because Nick Sirianni is not liked throughout the league. Outside of Philadelphia, he's not, well, not that he's really loved in Philadelphia right at this moment. But you saw Troy Aikman go after them on the lack of coaching, the blitzes, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And analysts rarely will ever go after the head coach. They'll go after the players because they meet with them, because they sit down with them. They rarely will ever go after it.
But they have to. That's their freaking job. That's the game. You're watching the game being decided by bad decisions by a coach, and he can't mention it because he's too busy kissing the guy's ass.
Well, because they also are so tied into analytics now. They're saying that the analytics show. Here's what no one has mentioned, and this is where you're right about this. Everybody can bring up the analytics that, yeah, you go for it in that spot. That's Dan Campbell being aggressive because it's what he's done. This is what Greg Olsen should have done. If he kicks the field goals, they run out of time. San Francisco doesn't have enough time to get back in the game. That's where they needed to hammer it. You can, all the analytics will show, you go for it. But simple.
No, you're missing the worst moment.
Football, it's time.
Let me get to the worst moment. So, Jay, he ignores these three blatant strategic mistakes.
Right.
Then Olsen goes, well, somebody in his ear must have said, you got to say something. We're paying you millions of dollars. Say something. And he goes, he made the right decision, not doing the field goals because it's in keeping with his recent past. He always goes for it on fourth down, and it was consistent with, no. Those games were not the NFC Championship game. They were not playing the San Francisco 49ers. The guy stinks. Do you understand? Rhea, I'm telling you something. I'm now looking forward to Tom Brady coming in because he couldn't be worse than Greg Olsen was on Sunday. The guy stinks.
Well, that was wrong, but that's okay.
That was my question because Greg Olsen, we talked about this on the radio show. He is a guy who really wants that top job. Yeah. And he figured in the 2 years that he had to wait for Tom Brady because he got thrust into this job when Aikman left. He was going to outwork everybody and try to make a case for why he should be the number one. It looks like Tom Brady's coming in next year. Angelo, do you honestly believe, in all honesty, that Tom Brady, who is as interesting as warm water, is going to be better than Greg Olsen?
Yes. No, he will be better than the other ones because he won't ruin the game. Do you understand? These guys make it so. This is why I always listen to the Eagles guys when it's an Eagles game because I don't want to hear these guys. They stink. There's nobody left, Jay, that will just offer honest criticism of what's going on. It's always platitudes for the team that's leaving. I hate it. It stinks. I want to get one other thing in here while we're doing this. I would like to take a moment to honor somebody you love, Jay, the legendary Dave Letterman. David Letterman came out this week and told all the people that are complaining about the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift coverage to shut up.
Yes.
Because I'm going to tell you something. When they were on the field making out, that was an American love story. It was beautiful. It was, agreed. I love it. I can't get more of it. Rhea, I want more and more of it. I think they should have like a separate camera just in the luxury box streaming the whole game like they do at the Mannings.
Well, she doesn't like it now. If you saw, they had a picture of her where she was like saying the camera go away because she knows it's not her fault. Yeah. She's not telling the cameras to look at her. No. She's in the box. Zero problem with it. Here's my thing. These are two insanely good-looking people, insanely wealthy celebrities who appear to be in love. Exactly where is the problem?
It's insane to me, especially somebody did the math. 34 seconds was how much time she was on air for the conference game. 34 seconds. Bradley Cooper, they can't stop cutting to him.
Yeah.
And nobody has a problem with him doing fist pumps, trying to get the maestro some attention during an Eagles game. But a beautiful Taylor Swift can't get a couple. I don't understand it either. It is. I don't believe it when people say it takes away from the game.
No,
it's part ridiculous. Of the game. Nobody complained on Monday Night Football when they used to cut up and have celebrities up there during the game to have to interviews. It's part of the event of the game. It's not a big deal. Everybody.
It is entertainment, plain and simple.
I love it. Now, Jay, I want to take a minute here because during this meeting, full disclosure, Rhea and I don't like when you're on the boat. And I realized in order for you not to be on the boat, you need to make a lot of money.
Yes.
So I'm going to give you your next big assignment. This moves you up a level as a screenwriter.
All right.
A Lifetime movie with a pop star and a big-time star athlete.
There you go.
And just base it off this. It will light it up. The ratings will be through the roof based on this story. Come on, Jay, get going.
Angelo, you've given me a lot of ideas, and most of them have been terrible. That's a great idea. That really is a great idea. I love it.
Bring it over the weekend.
I have a meeting with my.
We want to watch it.
I have a meeting with my producing partner.
For next big project. You'll make so much money, you can buy one of those stupid boats.
I will, and I'll put a satellite dish on it. We'll do that. All three of us will get on the boat. We'll just do it from there. All right, let's switch to another kind of entertainment. One that I got to admit I never engaged in at all. Even growing up, like maybe in the 80s, I watched professional wrestling when I was a kid. But during the Attitude Era of the 90s, when it really blew up, like when The Rock was coming on, I just thought it was silly. I never watched it. That's on me. WWE just signed one of the biggest contracts in history. They signed a 10-year, $5 billion contract with Netflix to carry Raw in the United States, so basically the North American territories, and all of WWE content around the world, including WrestleMania. Now, this in itself makes news, but it came on the heels of a report about the chairman of WWE who resigned subsequently after the report, Vince McMahon. I'm not going to get into the details of this thing. You can go read it for yourself.
Pretty gross.
This guy makes Harvey Weinstein look like a romantic. I mean, this is the grossest report I've ever seen in my life. Right, Angela? Have you ever seen anything as disgusting as this?
And I am not at all surprised. This guy is one of the creepiest. Bully. He's the biggest bully I think there's ever been in anything related to sports. I have seen him do interviews with impressive journalists and freak out. Bob Costas once, he tried to goad into a fight. He had a fight with another guy, Armin, I can't remember his name.
Armin Katayan.
Armin Katayan. He smashed, he threw, he slapped the guy's notes out of his hand. This guy is horrible, but I can't deny, he's a genius. He made a fake sport into a monster for everyone. He's done that, and he reinvented it every 10 years or so. I'll give him credit for that, but it will not in any way hurt the popularity of wrestling, and it will not in any way impede the deal with Netflix. Rhea, tell him why.
Because money.
Yes.
I mean,
that's all.
It'll
make money.
Here's the interesting thing, Jay, that when you said Raw, they were very particular to put out in their press release that it was Raw. Remember, it's always been Monday Night Raw, right? Isn't that what it always was? Yeah. Well, apparently they're going to move away. Like, no one wants to touch the NFL. I mean, the numbers that the NFL are reaching are so insane now. It looks like even WWE, which you thought could never be touched, because I don't get it either, but I know people who absolutely love it, normal people who love it. They're going to move away because they don't even want to touch the insane numbers that are hitting on Monday night, hitting on football now.
Yeah, it's too much money to turn down, I guess, from any side. But that said, I can't stress enough the level of depravity in this report. And this is the guy who did the deal, right? I mean, this is the guy that negotiated this. When we talked about it on Monday, we said, is there any chance that Netflix backs out? There is none. Should they, though? Do they have a responsibility to humanity to back out?
No, if they hadn't gotten rid of Vince McMahon, then yeah. But I mean, they immediately just booted his ass right out. So I mean, that's the way you look at it.
The NFL will. I guess they're just going to get a blank check at some point, and people are going to say, "Oh, you know what? They're going to become partners because they make so much money." And it gives me such relief to know that Jeff Lurie, who is already a 5-time billionaire,
Correct.
will soon make even a ton more money. Because, at some point, Rhea, he may make so much money that he'll actually lower himself to speak about his team when it does poorly.
Insane. It's insane.
Wouldn't that be charming if a man who's owned a team
when you have that much money, you don't have to talk to the little people. So that's just the way it is.
Point. And the more money he's gotten, the less he's taught.
Yes.
Now, one thing is, Jay, I would beg for this when I was on the air at WIP. Then he
right up until he spoke.
15 minutes after he was talking, I would beg him to shut the hell up.
Well, one person who we never want to shut up is Rhea Hughes, because she has the most popular segment in all of podcasting, the British TV segment. Rhea, what do you got for us this week?
Well, and this is exciting because Angelo actually forwarded me an email by a guy named Bob who recommended a show that I kept considering to watch, but I was like, I don't know if it's my kind of show. He recommended Guilt on Prime. There are now 3 seasons. I'm almost through season 1. Critics love it. Rotten Tomatoes. It's a Scottish black comedy / thriller. Critics 93%, audience 81%. Basically, what it is it's 2 brothers are return and it hits you. They don't wait to build what the storyline is going to be. They punch you in the face like right away. 2 brothers couldn't be more different. One's like a prissy lawyer. One owns a record store. They're driving home from a wedding drunk, and they hit and kill an old man. Now you're going, where can we get humor and black comedy out of this? Well, somehow they managed to do it because basically the record shop brother wants to immediately call the police. The lawyer, not shockingly, is like, absolutely not. They drag him back to his house. Turns out the old man was dying like any day now of cancer. So they figure they're going to get away with it, except for the fact that this guy's American niece comes over for the funeral. And she starts to think that things aren't, kosher, but she starts a relationship with the record shop brother. The lawyer had fired a PI. He's like, I'll help you find out whatever happened to your uncle. So he hires a PI that he had fired for being a drunk because he figures this guy will bungle the investigation. The guy is so grateful to be hired back. He quits drinking so he can become a real, true private detective and find out what happened. It really veers between black comedy, mystery. It's fantastic. Somebody likened it on one of the reviews I read to Fargo. It's real, and one of the actors in it, Max, is a Mark Burrow. I've reviewed shows for you guys. He's a phenomenal English or Scottish actor. Been in a lot of stuff I've reviewed. He's the lawyer. You want to hate him because he's so vicious, but you actually love when he's on the screen. So I want to thank Bob, the emailer. Terrific, terrific series. Guilt on Prime.
Guilt. And as always, Bob. Yeah. And if you have a suggestion, please always email to us either through the TV podcast email or to us directly. And what was our team pick for this week?
So this is interesting. This is like the big hot new show on Netflix. I'm sorry, on Hulu. It's called Death and Other Details. New episodes drop every Tuesday, and it's 10 episodes. So Clark and I started to watch it because it kind of reminded us of, hold on, here goes Katie he needs the biscuits because he's not going to let me continue to talk. So it kind of reminded us the previews of Only Murders in the Building, but on a luxury liner. And Mandy Patinkin is like the main star. He stars as what they call the world's greatest detective, and he's got an interesting British accent. So this 2 families, an Asian family and an American family, are on this luxury cruiser to culminate a merger. But somebody gets murdered in the middle of it. And there's this woman called Imogen Scott. She is played by, you'll love her, she's beautiful. She is played by Violet Bean. And she hates the detective because when she was 10 years old, her mother was killed in a car bomb, and he was supposed to solve it as the world's greatest detective, but he didn't. But they're forced to work together. The interesting part about this is I asked, so critics didn't like it. Critics given it a 55%. Audience are much kinder, 75%. It's like an old school Agatha Christie mystery. Clark and I love it. I said to him this morning, I called him. He's off from school today. He's got a cold. I said, what do you like the most about it? We're 4 episodes in. He said, I love that I'm watching the show and I'm like, how do these pieces fit together? Every episode ends with a cliffhanger that brings the entire episode together. And we're like, oh my God, we got to wait till next Tuesday. So it really draws us in. I will say for teenagers, if you're watching it with your kids, there are a couple sex scenes in there. One of the first ones in the opening episode is girl on girl. And literally Clark was getting a drink out of the refrigerator. And I'm like, stop, hold on a second. You got to give this about 10 seconds because it was graphic, to say the least. So there are a couple of sex scenes in it. Not a lot, but just be on the lookout for when you think because they have no problem showing, TNA.
Gotcha. My son went to go see Poor Things, the Emma Stone movie, and I was going to go with him. And I decided last second, I just had too much to do. And I picked him up. I said, what'd you think of the movie? And he's like, I'm so glad you weren't there because it was wall-to-wall sex scenes.
Yes.
Mandy Patinkin has become America's favorite grandpa on TikTok.
Yes.
And you mentioned David Letterman earlier, Angelo. One of my favorite moments on Letterman was Patinkin was on in the mid-'80s and sang a song apparently unasked for, just got up and sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And Letterman played a clip from that for the following 2 weeks to make fun of it. And Mandy Patinkin got very mad and vowed to never come on David Letterman again. Big fan of that. Angelo, what'd you watch this week? What do you got for everybody?
One comment first. Guys, I believe your kids in both cases have seen Saltburn.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
There's nothing left to shock them. All right? These other things, Rhea, these are Disney movies compared to Saltburn.
Yeah, but the difference is I don't want to watch it while he's sitting next to me.
I gotcha. Gotcha, Rhea. I got you. All right. I would like to highlight today 2 of the greatest performances I have seen this year, if not this millennium. All right. One, I mentioned this show last week, but now I've gotten deeper into it. It's called Funny Woman, produced by the BBC. Sorry about that, Rhea. It is on PBS Sundays at 10, and it stars a woman who is so gorgeous. In 2008, she was a Bond girl, James Bond girlfriend. Her name is Gemma Arterton, and she is beyond beautiful. I mean, she's top 5 all time. She is, and she is it's set in the 60s. So if you're old like me, she's got a Joey Heatherton vibe, right?
Oh, okay.
Kind of like Ivy blonde. This woman's great. But here's the thing. She loves I Love Lucy. And she, despite the fact that she's gorgeous, can be hilarious. Beautiful women can also be funny.
Who knew?
And she has never done. After the show, she comes on and describes a little bit about what it was like playing the part, because they do things differently in England. And I'm telling you, this is a phenomenal performance. Physical comedy. It channels the sitcoms of the 60s, Mary Tyler Moore, Dick Van Dyke Show, I Love Lucy. It's absolutely fantastic. And I can't believe, I looked this up. She got nominated for nothing anywhere.
Wow.
Performance in this. Not even the BAFTAs, the things in England, Rhea, where it's like Emmys or Oscars. She got nominated for nothing. I defy you to find a better performance in the past year than Gemma Arterton in Funny Woman. It's great. Here's the second one. You want to see possibly the greatest performance of the entire year, also not nominated? Messi in the Oscar-nominated Anatomy of a Fall. Messi is a border collie, 7 years old. A dog. And I'm telling you something right now. in my estimation, you can forget about Lassie and Beethoven and Hooch and Buddy, even Toto, all right, from Wizard of Oz. This is the greatest performance by a dog in cinema history. Rhea, they get this dog to act really sick. I read all about
wow.
It took 22 days of filming to get Messi to do it. In the movie, he's actually, I think they call him Snoop, but his real name is Messi. You have to see this performance. I looked at the nominations for supporting actor. This dog is better than Robert De Niro in the Martin Scorsese movie. You got to see this. Rhea, you love dogs, right?
I love dogs, except for Cheney right now. I have to go sit on the couch. It's the only place he will not bark at me.
All right, okay. But Rhea,
I don't know if you see him. There he is. Can't see him.
All right. He is not like Messi. Messi is better trained. All right?
He's not trained at all.
You got to see this, guys. The movie starts. It's 2.5 hours. It's a classic murder court drama.
I love that.
It starts with the dog. The dog's on it for the first minute and a half. The dog comes back later in a pivotal scene in the whole movie. And the dog acts like he's on death's doorstep and he's not sick at all. It's acting by a canine. I'm telling guys, do me a favor. Even if you just watch,
there he is.
Just go through it. It's
beautiful.
It's and here's the thing. It's on Anatomy of a Fall is on demand right now. You can also get it at Apple or Amazon, and you got to check it out. I'm telling you, this dog is amazing. Amazing.
So, Susan Orlean put in her book 2011's Rin Tin Tin, a Hollywood life and legend, that Rin Tin Tin actually won the Academy Award for Best Actor in 1929. But in order to make it look more serious, they got rid of all the dog votes and they put in a human actor. Now, some call this a Hollywood legend. I don't know if it's true or not. But what I'm hearing from you, Angelo, is you would like to put dogs back on the ballot.
Yes.
Dogs
have never. Now, here's the thing. Messi got the award at Cannes. There's an award at Cannes for animal actors. It's called something or other. But the dog got the award there. But this dog is better than Robert De Niro. All right? I'm saying right now to you, this dog should have been one of the 5 supporting actor nominees. You will never see a better performance by a canine. Ever.
Well, going from your endorsement of a dog, I'd like to end out the show with an endorsement of a bear. Have you guys seen the ads for Ted on Peacock?
No.
Have you guys seen that?
No.
Ted is a 2011 or 2012 movie by Seth MacFarlane. It's about a teddy bear that comes to life, and he's a foul talking, rough around the edges kind of guy, voiced by Seth MacFarlane. Ted is a period piece, takes place in 1993. The main character is 16 years old in 1993. As it so happens, I was 16 years old in 1993. Every girl is wearing the exact outfit that I remember every girl around me wearing, with the collar, the choker collar, and the plaid. It brings me right back. It is hilarious. It's exactly what you want out of a streaming show, which is something you can't get on network. It's foul-mouthed, but very sweet. Some of the episodes go 40 to 50 minutes long. I cannot endorse it high enough for laughter purposes. You will laugh. I know it seems weird. It's a teddy bear, a talking teddy bear, but I guarantee you will laugh if you watch the show and come away loving Ted. So you have to check out Ted on Peacock, all episodes streaming now.
How's the guy that plays the Mark Wahlberg part?
He's great. He's a great young actor. He's got a great Boston accent, and he inhabits the Mark Wahlberg, the sort of credulous, open-eyed, I'll go along with anything, but I have a big heart vibe from the character that Mark Wahlberg plays. He's great. Everybody in it's great. It's all around a enjoyable show. You got to check it out. Peacock. And one last thing before we do our recap. Angelo, I'm sure you're excited. February 4th, you know what's coming on HBO, right?
What?
The final season of Curb is coming. HBO. starting this February 4th. Make a note of it on Max.
He's writing it down right now.
I hope he has a better final episode than the one he did with Seinfeld. That's all I'm saying.
It's going to be great.
That. All right, here's by the way, you had me at a talking bear. I like a foul bear. What more could you ask for? All right, the Super Bowl. We were talking about all these bad announcers. Super Bowl's on Fox. The final performance is with Greg Olsen as the #1 Fox broadcaster. I would suggest to do what Rhea did and wear earbuds. The WWE will be featured on Netflix very shortly, or everything's moving over there for $5 billion. Rhea highly recommends Guilt on Amazon Prime. Highly recommend. She also recommends for teens Death and Other Details on Hulu. I highly recommend Funny Woman on PBS Sundays at 10, also available on demand. And Anatomy of a Fall featuring Messi, the border collie. That is on demand and Apple and Amazon. And Ted, you could see on Peacock.
Peacock, that's correct. Thank you to Angelo and Rhea for joining me as always. Jared Clapper, our I'm not going to say unsung producer because I'm singing you right now, Jared. Our sung producer, Jared Clapper. And if you like what we do, please tell a friend, like and subscribe on all the different various social medias. You can find all that information in the show notes. Guys, appreciate you spending time with us. We'll be back next week.